And my brain kind of shut off the rest of the day.
The killers' identities are confirmed on television.
It's my friends killing my friends. And that's what it was. It was this horrible war zone, and you didn't know which side you were on.
Parents come to meet their children as the school is evacuated. Buses shuttle between the school and a park where the families gather, united in shock. Tom Mauser arrives at the park to look for his son, Daniel.
When we first got there, they said, "There's one more school bus coming with students." Well, the school was a very short distance away. It shouldn't take too long for that bus to get there. I waited and waited, and I said, "Where is that school bus? Where is this school bus?" And then someone's child came in, and I heard him say, "I heard in the news, there's 25 students that were killed." I said, that bus should have been here by now. I left. I had to be with my family at that point. There was no last school bus. They were wrong. There was no last school bus.
Tom Mauser would later learn that his son was one of the 13 victims. Daniel Mauser was 15 years old. He was shot at point-blank range as he hid beneath this desk in the library. The next day, Brian Rober was still without news of his son. He waits anxiously at home for the police to call. At 9 in the morning, still no news. He opens the newspaper and sees this photograph.
There was a picture of my son lying dead on the sidewalk. That was our notification. The sheriff, John Stone, and the district attorney, Dave Thomas, they never contacted us. The coroner never contacted us. We learned from a picture in the paper.
America goes into shock. The day after the massacre, the controversy begins. Why did the police take so long to intervene? Harris and Klebold killed themselves at 12:08. The police found their bodies in the library 3 hours and 15 minutes later. The victims' families are still unable to comprehend how this could be.
Very simply, this was a failure of command in the chaos of what was going on. The command didn't do their job, and no policeman had the courage on their own to just go, "The hell with these rules, I'm going to go in and rescue these kids." So not one of these policemen, and they all know it, had any courage at all. That's the fact of it.
Faced with such accusations, the police insist that the intervention was extremely delicate. The Special Forces Anti-Terrorist Squad had even been called in as reinforcement. This police officer took part in the operation and justifies the time that was lost.
There could have bombs that are motion sensitive inside the backpacks, and as we entered into the library, one of these could go off.
Randy Brown has archived all the evidence from the investigation, all 45,000 pages of it.
These are the books.
But he is still fighting to obtain a crucial document, the key element missing from the case file. This is a video of Harris and Klebold's testimony, in which the two teenagers explain the motives behind their action. But the police are still refusing to make these videotapes public.
We saw the basement tapes. They're tapes made in Eric's basement and Dylan's room, but it's Eric's basement essentially, so they're called the basement tapes.
The 3-hour tape has only been shown once, at the beginning of the investigation. Those who saw it were deeply affected.
That hit me in the basement tapes was the fact that Eric is running his gun, called Arlene, over a pile of pipe bombs, back and forth. And he's talking casually, and Dylan said, I believe he said, "My uncle is going to be really upset." And he's talking about a Jewish holiday. And Eric says to him, "You're Jewish?" And Dylan says, "Yeah." And he starts saying, I think he starts saying half or fourth, and he starts, and then I think for a second there he thinks, Eric's going to turn on me. It's just a very strange thing. Very strange. And then, I don't know, Eric says something like, wow, that's too bad,
Eric Harris certainly wanted to be infamous. They said that very clearly in one of the basement tapes, that this is going to be the biggest incident ever. And they speak condescendingly of other school shootings where the person shot, quote, only 3 or 4 people and then stopped and gave up. They also mentioned that when a movie, and their phrase is, when they make a movie about this, they hope that either Quentin Tarantino or Steven Spielberg direct it because they could get it just right. So I certainly believe, because Eric says it, he expected to become infamous in this.
For everyone, Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris's act of horrendous folly remains a terrible and inexplicable mystery. How could 2 teenagers, having fun, massacre 13 of their fellow students in cold blood, utterly without remorse?
Coming up next, investigators use DNA from a victim's son to help crack another cold case file.